Welcome to Inked Up, where we dive into the fascinating world of permanent makeup. This podcast is brought to you by Highstoke, your trusted PMU growth partner, helping permanent makeup artists succeed through marketing, branding, and scaling strategies. Join us in each episode as we unravel the secrets of this ever-evolving industry and provide valuable insights to help you thrive as a PMU artist.
Hey!
Hello. How's it going,
How
Victoria?
are you?
Doing well. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, amazing. Happy Wednesday. How's your Wednesday going?
Happy Wednesday.
I feel like every day is like a blur now. I never know what day it is anymore.
Literally. Yeah, my husband and I were just saying, like, what's tomorrow? What do we have to? Who's getting the kids?
Gotcha. Anything to look forward to this upcoming year for you? Any more traveling?
Year?
No, this upcoming Q4. Are you traveling anymore?
Not in Q4. No,
Okay.
I don't think I travel again until May. I'm for biotech. I'm in Italy, and then Jakarta in August.
That's amazing. What's in Jakarta? Training?
The Jakarta
Oh.
conference.
It's like, what else would it be?
Unless, of course, I'm busy in June, July at PMU World. We'll see.
PMU World, more announcements on that very, very soon. It's going to be super exciting. So I know our inbox is like slammed, like thousands of messages every day. When is it? When are you guys going to release the date? So we're really excited for that.
I'm excited.
But, more on you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
No, thank you. So you guys, you don't even know. Danny and I go way back. I've been a big fan, and I've been kind of following your journey as well. So thanks for making time for me. I'm the small guy here.
Yeah. So, like I was just telling everyone before you were hopping on, what we really want to do is highlight amazing artists like yourself, talk about your story, your journey, how you got started, the differences that you see in the industry compared to when you first started to where it is now, and really, insights on how you grew the business and really what's to look forward in 2024. So we're going to dive pretty deep, which I'm very stoked about. I stoked, I should say. But, I always want to give like a really amazing intro, but I know we're going to dive super deep into it. So we're going to get straight into it. So are we cool if we do some icebreakers to kick things off?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. What's one fun fact about you that nobody knows?
That nobody knows. I'm so honest. Everyone knows these things, but I guess a lesser known fact, I was an exotic dancer all through college.
I did not know that.
It's a lesser known, but I do talk about it.
Okay, amazing. Question number 2. If you weren't doing PMU right now, what would you be doing?
Running a different company.
Yeah. Any specific industry?
You know what? Probably gardening, actually. I'm a big gardener, and I love to propagate things, so I'd probably have like a nursery.
Amazing. Victoria Glam's nursery.
Glam garden.
So the glam. Oh, that's a good one. The glam garden. Okay, so let's rewind to the beginning, Victoria. Meaning, every time that I ask somebody this question, I feel like I get such a different answer because I feel like nobody ever really expects to get into the permanent makeup industry. It just kind of happens. And so, curious for you, like, how did this crazy world happen for you? How did this fall into your lap, and how did you get into it?
So motherhood. Actually, I know that's such a perfunctory answer. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, well, but it was true. So I went to college, I got a degree, I got a job using that degree, and it was in a nonprofit organization, right? And it's right there in the name, nonprofit. So that already was not my favorite thing. Also, I mean, a nonprofit, it's not like they're everywhere, So I was actually, my commute was like 45 minutes, and I live in a small town. So my husband and I decided we were going to have children, like, okay, we're ready to get started on this journey. Actually, our first pregnancy, there was nothing in the ultrasound. So we knew we were either going to have a miscarriage or I was going to have what they call a D&C, where they like clean everything and make sure that you're good. So I told my boss that, and I was like, either it's going to happen or I'll give you a date. We'll schedule surgery, whatever. So on a Wednesday, it happened. And I called him. I was like, listen, I'm turning my car around. I have to go home. It's happening right now. I'm running red lights and shit. Like I'm going into like fake labor, basically. I was the sickest I ever felt. I'm running home. I'm in the tub. I'm on the floor. I'm on the toilet. I'm in the tub. I'm on the floor. I'm on the toilet. I'm sweating. I'm like dying. I'm bleeding out. And they're calling me. My staff are calling me. Where's the password for this? What's the key? Who's in charge? What's your plan? You're the plan. I told you this was going to happen. You're the plan. Okay, I couldn't. So at that point, I was like, really, I took a long, hard look at what motherhood was gonna look like if I stayed working for someone else who is a friend to this day, but like did not get it because you're not a mom. You just didn't get it, you know? So I started thinking, what am I gonna do? Have a baby, drive 40 minutes to my mom's house and drop it off, then drive an hour to my job, then drive, work 7 to 7, then drive all the way back, get the baby, take it home to put it to sleep, and then do it again? It didn't make sense for me. So I went back to school. I got my aesthetics license, and a girlfriend of mine was like, "Well, why don't you just take this class and come do this? I'm gonna open up like a brow studio or whatever." And you know how that goes when you work with friends and it works out. But that's how I like got into this. Owning my own time basically was the goal.
Yeah. And so
Crazy
it just
story.
all snowballed from that point on.
Yeah, I mean, once I'd taken the training and I actually started working for myself, then I had a baby. I mean, I found out I was pregnant a week after I took the microblading class, my first microblading class. I was pissed. I was like, you don't start a new business with a baby.
And what year was this? What year did you actually get trained? And you're like, okay, like let me
January of 17, I took my first class.
January 17. So that was like 6 years ago, or a little over 6, almost 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah,
and then
the kid,
so at what?
It just turned 6.
And the kid just turned 6. So it's like right at the same time. And so that's interesting. We'll dive deeper into that in a second, but walk us through like the beginning parts of the business. Like meaning, were you like renting somewhere? Did you work with somebody else?
Yeah.
When did you actually finally like branch off into your own thing? Because I think that's such a part that nobody really talks about, those beginnings. They're just so curious to hear what it was like.
Well, here's the thing, and I think so many people are going to identify with this. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be everybody. I didn't want to own a business. I wanted a job with flexibility. That's what I wanted. I wanted good money and I wanted flexibility. And that was it. I wanted to leave work at work and go home and do my own thing. I never expected that I was going to be running a business. I didn't take a class so that I could open a business. But that's kind of what it evolved into, right? So I got my first job, but it turns out I was actually just a misclassified employee that somebody was treating really poorly. And that's super common in the beauty. Listen, I'm a beauty business coach. So I have heard all kinds of people tell me all kinds of different business arrangements, whether they're on this end of it or that end of it. And 9 times out of 10, if this is your first time speaking to someone about your business arrangement, you're probably hiding from the IRS right now. Like, no one is doing it the correct way. So she wanted all of the perks of having employees, but she didn't want to pay any of the taxes of having employees. No, I did not go to irs.gov and turn her in. Someone should, but it won't be me. But so that's just a really common thing, right? So at some point, I just had a baby. I think I was like 3 or 4 weeks postpartum. And this girl is like, well, I was already back at work 3 weeks after I had my baby. I don't know why you're not at work. Like, I'm leaving. And then afterward, there was just like some more barbing that made me say, well, you know what? Fuck you. Then I am going to go back to work, but not for you. So I wound up opening my own place, but not a place. I was just going to rent a room in my friend's like hair salon. She had a room in there, and I started doing it right there just for myself 2 days a week. And even then I had such imposter syndrome. Like, this is not me opening a place like what that girl did. This is just me. That's such a key phrase for newbies. Yeah, but it's not a real business. It's just me. Well, it's just me. I just work by myself. It's just me. Big business, big goals. You've got to think bigger. And then after a while, I don't know. It just kind of grew. I don't know really how it grew. I had to move out of that place because that hair salon was moving and I was having another baby. So I had to put my stuff somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And so I moved in somewhere else, locked the door and walked off for like 2 months to have just maternity leave. When I came back, that girl couldn't afford the lease. So all 3 rooms in our suite were going to be available. And I said, well, I'll take them and I'll just get somebody in here subleasing, right, to help me pay the lease. Then I wound up opening my microblading institute. And so I needed the extra room. And then we actually took on even more room. We wound up like taking down a wall and taking on a 4th room because our classes got too big. That was about the time you and I met. And then I just stacked all of that and I purchased commercial real estate. And then I had the warehouse. And then I said, well, how do I cut down on the expense of all these student kits? I'll just manufacture the shit. So then I opened Brow Sister and I just started manufacturing stuff. And then I was like, well, might as well fill the warehouse, have it. Yeah. It just kept getting bigger without meaning to. I just accidentally keep opening businesses.
That's amazing. So we're going to dive deeper into the Microblading Institute and the Brow Sister, but let's rewind one more time.
Yeah.
So you basically took over that location because they couldn't cover the lease anymore. So you're like,
Yeah.
F it, let me just go in and do my own thing. And that's how the Microblading Institute came to be.
Yeah, out of spite. Yeah. I remember this lady yelling at our landlord at like 7 in the morning. Look, she lives on the premises. So
Yeah.
it's her house, and then they have the business right next door, right? So I pull up because I have a client, and this girl is there yelling at our widow sitting on her porch having a cigarette in her robe. Like, what are you doing yelling at this lady? She was like, "You're taking food off my table." I was like, "You're actually taking food off her table. You signed the lease.
Yeah.
She didn't club you over the head and drag you in here and say, pay me money to be here." Yeah, that was a mess. That was a
That's
mess.
insane. Okay, so I like going into like challenges and like issues and things that you had to go through. So walk us through how you got your footing. You know, when you were first starting in the industry. When I say
Baby,
footing,
a
like how did you
hope
get
and a
your
prayer.
initial like models and clientele and everyone coming in? Like, what was that game plan like for you?
I didn't have a game plan. I was winging it. I was living on a hope and a prayer. That was it. Like, I had no idea what to do. I didn't know how to build a clientele. I didn't know about social media marketing. I didn't know how to get models. I didn't know what a portfolio was or how to build a portfolio. I didn't know how to photograph browse.
So
You
you didn't
can
know how
count
to
on
do
me.
any of that, and so you just kind of you just winged it. You just figured it out along the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
figured out along the way. And I got stuck on this hamster wheel of like, well, if I take another course, my skills will get better, then the before and afters will get better, then I'll get more clients, and
Mm.
then if I get more clients, I'll earn more money, so I can take this other course, and then my skill will get better, and then my before and afters will look better, and I'll get more clients. And then before you know it, you're like $10,000 in credit card debt because you keep taking fucking classes, and that doesn't make clients come. Just because you're good doesn't make clients come. Everybody's good. Anybody can be good at this because all you have to do is take another class and practice. And if you don't have any clients, you have no reason not to be practicing. You have all the time in the world. Anybody can be good at permanent makeup. So that wasn't going to get me clients, you know? So I had to figure that out then too. So that's when I started studying social media. And that's when I started really showing up on social media. Like showing up, like turning my camera on and just talking to Instagram, you know, or showing the process or videoing the difference between microblading and powder fill instead of trying to explain it over the phone to someone who's never heard of permanent makeup before.
Mm.
Instead, I had a video that I could send them of me saying, so these are hair strokes. This is the tool that I use. You know, I became really visual and I started incorporating video elements of education and also like video before and afters, not just photos, because a lot of people can do a lot of things with
Mm.
photos. And just being really consistent. I had nothing else to do. I was at home with two toddlers. I had nothing else to do. So I just turn on my camera and just talk about my day. And that was very endearing to a lot of people. And I caught on to that really quickly. It was like the Kardashian effect. I see that whether I like them or not doesn't matter. I see them all the time. So I know what's going on with them.
Mm.
And my stories on Instagram became the thing. Now, Instagram has kind of started suppressing reach, but I used to get like 1,200, 1,300 views every day on Instagram stories. And that was like just a regular day. That wasn't like something crazy is going on. That was just a regular day.
Mm.
Just hanging out with your friend in your head, Victoria.
Gotcha.
That's where
So Victoria's basically
clients come
saying
from.
there's no difference between being 10x certified and 11x certified. That's not going to get you new clients.
Oh, they don't even know what that means. They don't even know what that means. They don't care. They do not care.
Okay, so that's so fascinating because like when we first met, I remember we had a conversation, and you know you were very particular about like your branding. You know, it had to be represented a certain way. So walk us through how you found your footing on the branding side, like figuring out like what your tone, what your voice was going to be like, how you wanted to be represented. Because I think a lot of people especially for new artists, or they don't really they don't know how to like approach that, or they're even afraid to put themselves out there. And so, you know, given your journey over the past years when you first started, like I guess like how did you find that momentum and flow and the approach with everything, or were you just winging it?
Yeah, it evolved for sure.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do the work and you scrolled all the way back to the bottom of my Instagram, you'll see it was still pinks even then, but it was different. And you could tell I had just discovered Canva. You know those posts where you're like, oh, you just found Canva.
It's like I see the top templates, like the top 5, and everyone uses neons.
There are like those font pairings
Yeah,
that they
yeah,
do, and you just see them
yeah.
over and over again. And also like not consistent, right? So they'll use this font and these colors, and then this font and some color, and then this font, and it just doesn't look cohesive. So I don't know, I just kind of used it until it ironed out. Honestly, sometimes your branding comes together because you get lazy.
Mm.
So you'll use something and then you just reach for it again because it's right there in your like recently used, and then before you know it, that's kind of the brand font or the brand colors or whatever. So I think finding that branding came naturally to me because I just use things that I was attracted to, and that's really what represents me. My brand is really just me amplified, very as seen on TV, and like coming up with which fonts and colors and whatever, elements, whatever that I actually use all the time, even creating my
Mm.
logo. It just kind of like naturally evolved. It all started off as something juvenile, and then I'd make a tweak here, a tweak there, and until it matured, and now it's so solidified. I'm married to it. That's why I fire people when they don't use my branding colors.
More on that story on another day. We're gonna talk about this on the podcast next week for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm so excited for that one. And then how did you start showing up? Like you were mentioning, you did more like educational stuff.
Yeah.
You were talking about like maybe like the before and afters, the how tos. Walk us through that. Like, how did you start showing up? And I ask this because we have a lot of people in our community who are just starting out, and they have this mindset like, oh my god, I just want to be behind the chair and just showcase my work. I never really want to show up or even have people know my face. And so how did you start showing up?
Well, I'm missing that component. So when people ask me this, even, paying clients who I'm coaching, there's not a better answer than an honest one. And I'm sorry, the honest one's a little disappointing. I'm missing that piece. I'm never nervous to talk to people.
Mm.
I don't prep for things. Right before I walk on stage, people say, "What are you going to talk about?" And I say, "I don't know. I'm about to find out." I'm missing that portion. I actually think I'd be more nervous if I like really thought about it. Maybe people are just overthinking it. I don't know. But so whatever I'm working on or practicing, I'll just video it. And either I'll say something to the camera or I'll voice over it later. If I just have my phone in a cradle while I'm working and you're seeing my hands work, I'll just voice over it. But usually a good place to start, if you want to start making like educational content or creating content of you working or showing the difference between things, like I was saying, and you don't know where to pull those ideas from, think about the top like couple questions that people ask you over and over again.
Mm.
One that's really popular is, what's the difference between microblading and powder fill, or various terms, but it's all the same things, right? That is such an easy. If someone asks you more than 2 times about something in your business, everybody has that question. If
Mm.
2 different people ask you what is the difference between microblading and powder fill, then somewhere along the line you are advertising those things but not differentiating. So it's up to you to like plug that gap in their education. A client who understands things before they get on the table is 10 times a better client than a client who understands nothing and has a bunch of questions after they get off the table. Because
Mm.
now they're looking at the thing on their face that they think is forever, and they don't know what they're looking at. They're going to wake you up at 3 a.m. with questions. "Oh my God, I'm panicking. I've been so upset. I've been crying the whole way home." Like, bitch, they're not even going to look like that tomorrow. Like, read your
Love it.
insert.
Love it, love it. So, how would you say the business changed when you started showing up? I know that was like, I'm asking that, I think you know where I'm coming from, but
Yeah.
like, how did it like change and shift for you when you started paying more attention to putting yourself out there and educating and really showing up as the face of the business?
So first, there's going to be a shift because there's a shift in your content. Who you're reaching is going to change as well. So when you start posting more educational content, yes, you will have more informed like clients and prospective clients, but you're also going to start attracting more permanent makeup artists. And so if you don't actually want to sell education, not too much on the education then, because that's what you're telling your audience you're about. I'm an educator. I'm teaching you. So first, your audience starts to change. Secondly, there's always a pinch point when you start adding additional services or branching off, or like me, if you're going to suddenly open another business. And I do mean suddenly, like businesses just happen to me. I'm just like, oh, a business. It just happens to me. So when that happens, there's always a pinch point where you're still working your old job, you're still behind the chair full time, or I don't know, whatever else. For some people, they're getting into this field, right? So you still have your full time job, and then also you have the demands of all of your roles that you perform just because you're a person, right? A husband, a wife, a child, a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, whatever. You still have all those familial obligations, friendship obligations. That should be a full life right there. But now we're going to throw this other thing in that you're very passionate about, and it starts to kind of snowball and gain momentum. And that's great, except it starts pushing against those other things. So this becomes what I always refer to as like the pinch point. And this is when people tell you they're overwhelmed. This is when they say, I can't sustain it. I don't know how people are able to make this much content. Like, not too heavy on the content then. Like, repost something. I don't know what to tell you. But this is when people start to get really stressed, right? So that's the second thing that's going to happen is you're going to start noticing that you are really stressed, and maybe not necessarily that you're earning more money. Maybe you're working a lot harder, but it hasn't taken off yet. So, which is good. Do the work. And then the third thing that happens is right before you drop dead of exhaustion, someone is going to come up to you and say, how'd you learn to do that? I've been following you for a while, and like, this shit is great. Like, your branding is good. Like, who's doing your marketing for you? And you're like, well, it's me. I remember that exact conversation, actually. Now, I have the brain of Dory, so I don't remember who I was talking to, but I know that someone I know IRL DM'd me and was like, hey, who is doing your marketing? I've been following you like for a couple months on your business account, and it's amazing, but who's doing that? And I was like, me. And I couldn't figure out what she was talking about because no one had ever complimented me on it yet. This was like just a regular Tuesday for me. I've been doing this for like 6 months. Every single Tuesday and Thursday, I'm just blasting myself on the internet constantly, and it hadn't really paid off yet, and no one had made any comment about it. So then people started noticing the effort that you put in, and I always that is akin to like working out. So you work out for the first 6 weeks, you bust your ass, you're sweating every day, you never miss the gym, you're eating good foods, and nobody notices. And when you look in the mirror, neither do you, because it happens so gradually. And then you run into somebody you haven't seen since January, and they say, God damn, you lost a lot of
10,000
weight.
followers.
You look amazing.
Okay, so if anyone is like facing that pinch point right now, like what words of advice would you have for them? Because we do get clients and even in our community all the time, like, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know if I'm on the right track. I feel like I pivoted my approach, and now I'm getting less views, and Instagram's changing all the time. So what do you have to say to
I would
everyone
say
about that?
sit down and really look at your strategy, because you can be very, very busy and not actually be doing very much. You can fill your time if you want to, but like, is it actually getting you closer to your goal? And if you don't know what your goal is, figure that out first and then work backward. So sit down and really look at your strategy and see whether or not you're working toward your goal or if you're just working. Because a hamster on a wheel can tire itself out really quickly, but it's never going to go anywhere. The second thing I would say is if it's content specifically that's driving you crazy and you feel like, damn, I am wasting my time. I'm putting in so much work and so much effort and I'm getting very little out of it. Start using lazy content hacks. Take video, like B-roll video and voice over it, or just throw some captions over it with trending audio and relax. Give yourself a week off. Start reposting stuff. Follow Brock Johnson because he will remind you to do that every third reel. I feel like that's Brock Johnson's ace in his pocket. Like, I reposted this from last year. Like, and it's trending. Of course it is, Brock.
That's such a good reminder. Like, some of the stuff that we do here, like some of our best content are like testimonials and reviews that we reposted from like 3 years ago. And, the people that are following you now didn't necessarily follow you like even months ago. And so I think that's such a good reminder. It's all in our heads of like, oh, like our audience doesn't want to see the same thing twice, but chances are they probably don't even remember
they probably didn't see it. And the way that Instagram suppresses us anyway, like it's almost egotistical of us to think like, yeah, well, I already posted that. Everybody already saw it. Nobody saw it. Go and look at your Reels views. 250 people saw it. Nobody saw it. Post it again.
I do have a question around branding. Like how do you feel about like personal content? Meaning sharing like your life, how often you go to the club, your party, your kids, your dogs. Like what is that good balance and mix? Because we see both ends of the spectrum. Somebody who doesn't share anything at all. And it's like, damn, I know like your entire life and what you're doing every weekend.
Right. So I think that if it's something personal, like did you know that I just got a new dog? Is that why you're asking me that? Did you know that, Danny?
It didn't.
Okay. So About 2 months ago, I started publicly bullying my husband to get me a new dog because we had dogs for 14 years, Archer and Molly, and they passed away, and I'm hella depressed. I actually was crying even before we got on the camera right now. And I really want a new dog. He can't go through the herd again. I can't live without furry friends again. So I started posting over and over again, like, look at this picture of my dog. I miss having dogs. And then a week later, I'd post another picture and be like, oh, how could you say no to this fluffy face? And then I posted my husband doing something nice. And I was like, he's such a nice guy. Doesn't it look like a guy who would get his wife a dog for her birthday? On and on this went. People were invested. And then, of course, he got me two dogs, actually. He surprised me with a boy and a girl dog for my birthday yesterday. And listen, people lost their shit, okay? So we had like 300 shares, and the animal, like the kennel where we adopted the dogs from, the shelter, whatever, they reposted it, and it was the whole thing. None of that is on my feed. None of that is on my feed because your feed is your portfolio. So if somebody were to meet me for the first time, they should see the work that I do, the results that I get, and they should experience what we call the 3 pillars, which we can talk about later. But so those are the things I want them to see and to be able to search and scroll and binge watch. So now I'm nurturing my audience, right? It's like a little inside joke between me and my audience. And when they come in, they ask me things about specific storylines that I've gone through. And I'm like, how do you remember? I can almost pinpoint when you started following me, because if you know that, and that was so long ago, I didn't even remember that I posted that, and you know that about me. And that's usually the stuff that they talk to me about when they come in for the first time to get their brows done. They'll ask me the personal stuff. So personal stuff does matter, because they want to feel like they know you, like you guys have a friendship, like you have rapport. But you don't want that to be the first thing a stranger sees when they come to your feed and they're like, you sell eyebrows. Why are you posting about dogs? You know what I mean?
Gotcha. So just to clarify for everyone that's listening here, all of the personal stuff, it's more towards stories and, show the day to day. And then your feed is more like your portfolio, your work, and like really big milestone related events.
Yeah. Polished. If you have a fun night out, great. Post that to your story, because it's here today, it's gone tomorrow. Nobody remembers what was on your story yesterday except you. And if it's incredibly embarrassing when you go out and you find yourself drunk posting, maybe have a sober friend who takes the phone. And if not, still very little damage done, right? Because only the people who already follow you even watch your story.
Yeah.
And even then, it's gone in 24 hours. So I think it's a much safer place. I also say that's a good place to like dip your toes into creating content. You can actually start off there. If you're nervous to be face to camera, if you're like really uncomfortable on camera, if you feel awkward, post your story first, because that's gone tomorrow. The pressure is so much less. Your feed is forever unless you manually delete it.
Okay. Going back to what you were saying, what are the 3 pillars? Is this the 3 pillars of content and branding that you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we go into that?
Sure. So they're different for everyone based on your ideal client and your business. And your 3 pillars are actually the 3, like, you can use this interchangeably with the term messaging. So my birthday was yesterday. Thank you. So the 3 pillars or your messaging are those messages that you send to your audience over and over and over again, right? Like it's repetition, the rule of 7, basically. And your 3 pillars means that you can slightly differentiate the way that you talk about a subject, but the subject should usually be the same. That's the messaging of the brand. That's the thing that we sell. That's the thing that we do.
Okay. So jumping back to the story now, what are you doing now with Brow Sister? Tell the world.
Oh, Brow Sister. So Brow Sister is my e-commerce store, and it's also its own brand. So we sell numbings. I manufacture and sell primary, secondary numbings, as well as a numbing foaming wash. But it's also an e-commerce store where I'm a wholesaler, so I sell everybody else's stuff too. So I sell Taryn Darling's needles, and I sell biotech pigments, and like I sell everybody else's stuff, and I sell my stuff.
Amazing.
But I only manufacture numbings. I don't have any desire ever to manufacture pigment. That is a nightmare.
As we all know. Okay, and then how does somebody find out more about your products? What's the handle on the website?
Oh, so the handle on Instagram is @BrowSisterOfficial. It's one sister. People love to throw an S on the end of that word. It's just one sister. @BrowSisterOfficial. And if you want to go and check out shop our products, it's shopbrowsister.com.
Gotcha. And it's on your bio as well, right?
Yeah.
I took a look at it right before this. So if you guys, everyone give Victoria a quick follow, then check out her brands as well.
Yeah.
All right. What is up? What's next for you in 2024? What's to look forward to?
I think more podcasting for sure. I have my podcast, the Glam Life Podcast, where I interview big name celebrities in permanent makeup. I think my focus is really towards Brow Sister in the store.
Okay.
And I have Microblading Institute where we teach classes every month, but I also have 6 locations teaching my curriculum. So if a 7th location says, hey, I really want in, great, you can buy a franchise also. But I think I'm pretty happy with my 6 at the moment. We're a very happy family. And I think I'm just worried about Brow Sister right now, honestly. And coaching. I mean, coaching is my love. Like if I'm married to Brow Sister, coaching is my girlfriend on the side. I just love doing it. So I do one-on-one coaching and I do group coaching, but one-on-one coaching is just chef's kiss because you actually get to like get in there and hear somebody's day to day. Like I have a coaching student right now who is at Wulop, Turkey. And the amount of DMs and texts, like with the nerves beforehand, what to wear, what to pack, like that is very handheld service. I know that, but I'm so invested because it's like living vicariously. Like, oh, it's your first time. Oh, I'm so excited.
That's so amazing. So everyone follow Victoria's journey. We have a couple of questions, by the way.
Sure.
We have Tina. How did you create content when starting off? Because I'm just starting and I don't have enough clients to put up before and after pics.
You don't need clients to make content. You don't need clients to make content. Your before and afters are boring. Stop posting before and afters. Take people on the journey with you. Tina, call me. We need to get in touch. You need a whole strategy, baby. And it's not before and afters. Everybody has beautiful before and afters. Everybody. Everybody's page has beautiful before and afters. And if that's all that's on your page anyway, I can't tell whose page it is. So you need some better before and afters. You need testimonials. You need videos of yourself working. You need videos of yourself explaining like the dream. You need a time-lapse video of yourself putting together your first bed that has, you know, I don't know, either text over it or a voiceover talking about what you hope to build. You need to tell people why you got into this business. I mean, these are off the top of my head. You do not need before and afters to get started building a brand and marketing yourself.
Beautiful. And on that same note, how do you recommend for somebody who, for example, you know, they just got certified, maybe through the Microblading Institute, you know, what is their typical game plan? I shouldn't say game plan, but like, what would you recommend for them to do to get like the first initial clients and models coming in? Because that's always such a big question after somebody gets certified.
Yep. So at the Microblading Institute specifically, you have unlimited models. You can take as many models at our shop as you want to after your class is done. So if it's models you're having trouble getting, what I would recommend is that you continue to post. And if you can't get anybody, then have your best friend post, have your sister post, and have your mom post, and just keep asking for a volunteer. And then when you finally get one volunteer, that's all you need. You just need one. Get one volunteer. Make sure that you do really good work. So have your instructor with you and get as much content from that as you can. And I don't mean take 15 pictures of her face before and 15 after. I mean, get a picture of you setting up your station, get a video of you setting up your station, get a picture of her before, get a video of her before, get a video of her saying what she's nervous about, get a video of you saying what you're nervous about, get a video of your educator saying what your strengths are and why they're not nervous about this, get a video of you actually working, like have someone hold a camera or set up a tripod of you actually working with your instructor behind you, do a voiceover of that and say things like, you know, it was really important to me to be committed to the education. You know, I don't want to just take one class and start carving up faces. It's important to me that I keep taking models so I keep getting better. On and on and on. Repurpose this content. Use it 7 different ways. Get as much as you can and post the shit until you get another client.
What we always tell like new artists as well, like one person coming in, that could turn into 20 to 30 different types of pieces of content. And a lot of people, they make the mistake of just taking like one and they're like, oh my God. And if you don't like that one and it ends up being a bad one,
you know what they tell me? They say, well, I don't have anybody to hold a camera for me. Well, I forgot to take a before and after. Well, I was too busy. I was working. Well, Well, if you were so busy working, I guess you don't need any clients. I don't know what to tell you, but a Pivo is $20 on Amazon. Pivo. A Pivo is $20 on Amazon. And if you want to throw that thing on a tripod, charge it up before your client gets there, you have unlimited content. If you want to get a ring light that goes over your head, make sure it has a phone holder in it and put a phone in there and video the whole thing. Just keep your head out of the way. Video the whole thing. You can chop that up into a bunch of different stuff. You can keep the audio, you can take the audio out, you can get video of you working. I mean, there's a million ways to do it. You don't necessarily need to pay an assistant to stand there with a camera. I have a full-on recording setup on top of my bed. I have box lights, I have ring lights, I have somebody who stands there holding a phone, I have a phone that goes in the cradle, I have a slider even that brings the camera to me like, shh. Yeah.
You should make a piece of content about your actual lighting setup that you haven't had already.
Yeah, sure.
That'd be cool to see. Yeah. Okay. We have time for one more question, and then I have one final question for you, and then we're going to close out here. Liz. Okay. Do you think it's good? I'm trying to figure out. It's Liz. Liz is asking, do you guys think it's good or not to combine my hairstylist career with my PMU career because I only post PMU in my post? I didn't understand that last part. Let's answer the first part.
Is she asking if she needs 2 different Instagram accounts?
Yeah, Liz, can you
clarify that?
Yeah. But let's assume it is that question. Like, should she combine the two into the same account?
It kind of depends. It kind of depends. So, if she's doing it at the same place and it's all under one roof and it's under one business and one name, sure. If it's separate, like I know in my state, you can't do hair and permanent makeup in the same place. You would have to have like its own little room with a door separating the hair place and the permanent makeup place. A lot of times there's only one room like that. And there might be 15, hair stylists. So a lot of times their hair salon is not the same building even as where they're doing permanent makeup. So if that's the case and they're under different names, like you work at the Cut House doing hair, but you work at Salon des Amis doing permanent makeup, which if you live here, sorry, I'm just picking names. No one does permanent makeup at Salon des Amis. If that were the case, then you might need separate because one is going to be attached to the studio page and then one is going to be attached to a different studio's page. You know what I mean? And I don't know, it depends on if your ideal client is the same for hair as it is for permanent makeup, because then you'd be talking to 2 different audiences. A lot of times if you're just getting started, I say keep them on one page because you don't want to be trying to attract people in 2 different sources. You can't fight a war on 2 fronts, But if you're already established as a hair salon and that your branding is very much married to their branding, do your own thing on the side. That's totally cool. Just direct your hair clients to go and follow you there.
Okay, amazing. Hope that helps, Liz.
Super
All right,
curious.
final question. Final question for you. When you first started, it's 2017, and now it's 2024. The industry has changed so much. I mean, it's been a crazy past couple of years. I think just the past 2 years alone has been insane. What words of advice would you have for somebody that's looking to join the industry now in 2024?
I would say you need to realize, which people did not realize in 2017. So if your marketing strategy is the same as people's was in 2017, I'm just going to post before and afters on Instagram, you're not going to be successful in this business. You have to realize that is a very small portion of your time budget for marketing, because your entire business plan needs to, especially if you're working for yourself, you just took a class and you're going to get working. You have to do everything. You have to wear all the hats. And if you only trained in the skill, then you're missing training on all the other skills that you need. You don't know how to manage a team. You don't know how to manage your books. You didn't even form an LLC. You don't know how to market yourself. You don't know customer service. You don't know how to protect your business with things like forms and insurance and all the other things that come along with it. If you're going to go and work for someone else and you're under all of that stuff from them, great. Just learn how to market yourself and learn how to work on the skill. But if you're going to rent a room and do this on your own and you hope to build a business, you have to invest in all of the parts of the business, not just the skill set. And that is the number one thing that I hear from people when we get on our first coaching call. Well, I don't want to learn how to do all that. I don't want to do all that. Great. You're going to have to pay about $20,000 a month in overhead to pay other people to do all those things for you. And you can't afford it because you have one brow on the books this week. You have to learn all those things.
The hard truth is you're no longer just an artist, you're an actual business owner.
Yeah.
And just posting the before and afters and just knowing how to do it, it's one out of the small the plethora of things. And so that's why you'll see a lot of people who have, let's say, more questionable work, but they're more successful because they have all the other foundational pieces.
I tell coaching clients that all the time. I say, listen, if you don't want to learn all that, that's fine, but your brow business is not going to be successful. If all you wanted was a job, you could get hired at Target today, and you could leave work at work, and you could go home, and you would make a pretty decent living. There's even coffee there, and you would have no headaches, and you would sleep great at night. But you didn't. You chose to open a business. And now you're refusing to run the business you opened, and you financed it. It's your money. Like, it's your money.
You know that meme of Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah.
It's like, you wanted this?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You're here?
Do it. I am the female Shia LaBeouf. I'm a really good coach because I push people. I'm a pusher, Katie.
I love that so much. Awesome. So, Victoria, thank you so much for taking the time. For those who are like listening to this on the podcast, the audio, how does somebody stay in contact with you and connect with what you're doing on a regular basis?
I'm so easy to get in touch with. DM me, victoria.glam. So easy.
At victoria.glam, GLAM. And then Microblading Institute, Brow Sister, that's all in your bio as well.
It's all there. As a matter of fact, if you just go to victoriaglam.com, all of it is there. The podcast, the shop, everything. And if you're, I wouldn't travel too far for it because it's a one-day conference, but if you're in the South, like Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, December 15th, I actually have an in-person networking event coming, and it's free. It's free. All you have to do is bring a toy for Toys for Tots. And there are educators from the UK and even Veronica Fleister's coming from Czech Republic. They're going to be speaking. They're going to be demoing. It's amazing. And Danny, off camera, I want to talk to you about one of my demonstrators.
Okay. Off camera.
Off camera.
Meaning turning off our video and still being live and talking about it?
No, I don't want to
just kidding.
I want to beg off camera.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so final thing here. Any last words for everyone watching this live in this podcast? Final words here?
Words? Any final words?
Final words.
You have to come up with another delivery because that was terrifying.
Any final words for everyone watching the live?
Final thoughts.
Thoughts.
Yeah, DM me. If you found me on Danny's podcast, then DM me. Just DM me Danny Tran. That's it. I just want my whole DMs to say Danny Tran.
Just Danny Tran. Okay.
And you can pick my brain about creating content, figuring out your pillars, whatever you want. DM me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Victoria. Everyone give her a quick follow, Victoria Glam. And thanks for everyone for hopping on.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Danny.
Awesome. Take care. Okay.
Thank you for joining us on this PMU journey. We hope you found inspiration and actionable insights to elevate your career in permanent makeup. To stay updated on the latest trends, tips, and exclusive content, be sure to follow us on social media at High Stroke Media. Don't miss out on our upcoming episodes and exciting PMU news. Until next time, keep creating beauty one stroke at a time.